Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Is everyone excited to be here? Was that enough noise, do you think, to get started? Guys, is everyone excited?
Saturday morning.
All right, moderately better. Jesse, I want to, this event is called Beyond the Base Layer. No pun intended here.
No pun intended.
And there's been a lot of focus on infrastructure this week, and rightly so. But I think Base is doing a really great job of actually moving beyond that and starting to onboard real applications. And maybe we can actually just start with one of the breakout applications that's on Base, Farcaster. I know Farcaster and what they're doing with Frames is a really exciting moment for you. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that's worth clarifying is that Farcaster isn't technically on Base. Actually, the Farcaster identity clients are on OP mainnet, part of the superchain. But about 6 weeks ago, Farcaster launched something called Frames. And if you don't know what frames are, imagine, in Twitter, there's the little poll action where you can put in an input. On Farcaster, they've created a spec where any developer can create a little interactive app inside of the social feed. And that app has access to your crypto wallets, your crypto identity, so you can do basically anything in feed. You can buy, test. You can buy Girl Scout cookies, you can mint an NFT, and all of it can be done with one tap in your social feed. And so we saw that launch 6 weeks ago. It was a Friday morning. We didn't have any pre-heads up. But the second I saw that primitive launch, I said to my team, this is an inflection point for crypto. Because for the first time, we have the ability to have viral social distribution of consumer products that's happening directly in a social feed with some meaningful amount of distribution in an existing network, the Farcaster social graph, that's starting to grow. And so our team, kind of dropped everything that Friday. We worked the weekend. We basically worked like nights and weekends for the last 6 weeks to try and figure out how do we make it so that when people are building frames, they're building them on Base. And they can be built on any network. You could build on Polygon, you could build on OP mainnet, you could build it on Arbitrum. But we wanted to make it so people could actually have great developer tools for building them on Base. Since that moment, we've seen hundreds, thousands of frames launched. The Base transaction share for all Farcaster users. So if you look at all the Farcaster users in the world and look at all the transactions they're doing on chain, has gone from 13% to 65%. Because the vast majority of frames are being built on Base because it's so easy to build them. And so for us, I think we really see this as a turning point in the overall ecosystem where we're actually going to start to see a lot more of these consumer use cases that can get viral distribution and actually reach the scale that social apps usually reach because they're going through a feed.
Yeah, can you say more about why you think we're at that inflection point? I think for many, many years, people have talked about, and maybe you guys in the audience have been like, when are we going to hear from these apps, right? We're building so much great infrastructure, be it Base or everything that Espresso is doing. Why do you think now is the moment when we're finally going to achieve liftoff on the app side of things?
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying for 2 years that there are really 3 challenges that we need to solve before you can have that liftoff for apps. The first is you need low-cost fees. And that's what Base is solving. We've taken Ethereum and we've made it so you can run all the same apps, all the same code, and it's 100 times cheaper. And with 4844, which we've been working on for the last 2 years, which is an Ethereum upgrade coming on March 14th, that's probably going to get another order of magnitude cheaper. And so we're talking about sub-cent fees, maybe sub 10 cents, which opens up a whole massive design space for what you can actually build. So that was the first thing, lower fees that can make it accessible to everyone. The second thing was better wallet experiences. And I think we're seeing this kind of happen right in front of our eyes. Farcaster, you sign up for it, you don't have to go set up another crypto wallet. It's just an app with crypto in it. And so that sort of innovation where the wallet is getting pulled behind the scenes and users are just getting to use the things that they care about, I think is a huge step forward in terms of making it actually possible for people to build consumer apps. Another big milestone on that was 2 days ago, Coinbase launched a smart wallet that will work across all apps, require no app or extension. It just works. It's fully self-custodial. It lets you spend your Coinbase balance. And it's probably the most transformative consumer wallet product launched in the last 5 years. So that's another big milestone. And then the third big challenge I think we needed to solve was having some representation of on-chain identity. And I actually think Farcaster is a great example of this. The thing that makes Farcaster powerful is that you have a social graph that is connected to your crypto identity. So you can go to Jesse Pollak on Farcaster. You can see here are all the people who follow Jesse. That's represented on-chain in kind of their hub format, which is essentially an L3. And then you can also see what are my crypto addresses. You can see what are all the NFTs I hold. You can see who follows me, who do I follow. And that enables us to build much richer experiences and also solve challenges like Sybil resistance because we finally have a real sense of who people actually are on chain.
Yeah, can we start maybe just working back in reverse order there, talk a little bit more about the identity problem. That was exactly where I was going to go, is Sybil resistance. You know, when you talk to a lot of, how many app founders are there out there in the audience? So when you guys think about Sybil, maybe it's from the perspective of doing an airdrop, maybe it's from the perspective of just knowing who your customer is. Can you just say more about why this is so important from the app perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go back to the first airdrop, that was kind of invented the airdrop, it was the Uni airdrop. And back then there was no precedent for airdrops, and so they were able to look at all of the on-chain activity and they were able to say, hey, these are the people who contributed value to the Uniswap protocol, let's give them money. And then from that moment on, everything has been gamed. Because once you have the precedent of if you do certain things in an app, you will get money, there's going to be people who are going to figure out how do I do those specific things in the most extractive way possible. And so what we see thousands, hundreds of thousands of bots or individuals who are basically just farming all of these qualifications, and it makes it really, really hard as a developer to zero in on how do I actually reward and engage with the users who are real human beings who actually want to use my product because they love my product. And I think that problem is a very tricky one, and there's a bunch of different ways of solving it. So on the Coinbase side, Coinbase launched something called Coinbase Verifications. That's on Base, it's an attestation, anyone can get it, it's fully opt-in, and that lets you basically say, hey, I'm a real human being, Coinbase has verified that, and I can now show that to developers. And so people are building experiences around that enable kind of the Sybil resistance. They're also building experiences that enable compliance. So if you want to say, hey, I only want to serve customers in a certain region, or I only want to serve customers who Coinbase has verified, that's totally possible. And I think that's a really important model because it lets us kind of bring this off-chain identity on-chain. That said, I think the Farcaster identity is actually probably more interesting and relevant.
Really? Why?
Because it's an on-chain native identity. And a social identity, if you think about kind of the last 20 years, is probably the single most valuable thing that's been created. When you think about Facebook and you think about Google and you think about Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, the thing that these people are monetizing is your social identity.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to bring this back at the end of this talk, but the reason it's so exciting is one of the things that's happened over the course of the last 10 years or so is many businesses have actually lost their interface with their customer. Like, you acquire customers through something like Google or Facebook, and all you have access to is third-party data. So with crypto, you actually have, this is kind of the rebirth of first-party data, having a direct relationship with your actual customers. And once the identity layer gets solved, airdrops are just the first thing. I mean, it is extremely, extremely exciting.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think frames are the thing that kind of bring this all together. It's now, if you're a business, you can say, hey, I want to target certain users based on their on-chain social identity or the NFTs they hold or the assets they hold. I'm going to create a frame that's going to show up in their social feed when someone else shares it, and then they're going to be able to do an action immediately from that. So imagine you say, hey, I want to find all the people who are at the Espresso Beyond the Base Layer event because they all have an NFT in their wallet, and give them $1 of USDC to reward them from being here. You can just build that, and it's a one-click action inside a social feed. That is the ultimate conversion. And if you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, they've spent billions, hundreds of billions of dollars making it so in the Facebook feed or in the Instagram feed, you can one-click check out. But the problem with that is it's only controlled by Facebook. Your payment data is in Facebook, advertisers have to go through Facebook, small businesses have to use Facebook tools, Facebook takes exorbitant fees on making that happen. And the powerful thing about frames and the social graph that's being built now and the ability to build for that is that there's no company that's intermediating you. You are going directly to the customer and able to reach them based on their on-chain identity.
Totally. And another thing in addition to that as well is it actually allows you, if your user base is crypto natives, targeting people that actually have an on-chain wallet is such a better signal indicator than if you go onto Facebook and you try to use their ad manager. I'm like, well, who do I think would be relevant for this type of event, right? And you can filter by where they live, how much money they make. How useful is that compared to how many trades on Uniswap have you made in the last 30 days? That's a much, much better indicator. So
yeah, and then they also have a wallet where they can do a transaction immediately there to attend.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about the wallets. I know the smart wallet thing is really interesting, but you also have another announcement this week of embedded wallets as well. So can you talk a little bit about just differentiating those two offerings?
Yeah, I kind of think this is as two ends of a spectrum. So the embedded wallet is going to be for businesses, predominantly Web 2 businesses, where there's like, we want to embed a wallet in our existing app. So let's say Facebook said, hey, we want to start doing things with crypto. They could put an embedded wallet in their app. That would let the user kind of use their existing auth and do everything on chain. The challenge with embedded wallets that I think we're starting to see, and I personally suffer from this as a user, is that once you have a few embedded wallets, it actually gets pretty hard to manage.
Yeah.
Like I have like 20 embedded wallets at this point, and if I go into an app and it's like create an embedded wallet, I'm like churn. Because having to have that wallet with balances and then having to report that wallet for taxes and manage that wallet and think about the security and understand the security of the app that has embedded that wallet and has full control over it, that's a huge amount of kind of user burden. And I think the thing that's been really exciting in crypto for the last year is that we've actually showed that something better is possible. The Connect Wallet button, you can connect your wallet and you have the Coinbase Wallet app or MetaMask. You can log into any app and it just works. And that's really, really, really powerful because you have one identity that works everywhere. And that identity is self-custodial. You can manage it yourself. And the login experience is seamless across all apps. Now, the problem with that Connect Wallet experience is twofold. One is, if you want to use the Connect Wallet experience, you have to go and get a whole other app. And so getting a user to say, hey, I want to use your app so much that I'm going to go on a side quest for 15 minutes to get another app and learn about that app is practically impossible. And we've seen this again and again at Coinbase and with Base. For instance, in on-chain summer last year, we had a goal of making it so anyone could go from scanning a QR code on the street to participating in on-chain summer in less than 60 seconds. We worked on it for 6 months, and we could not do it. Because the journey of going and getting another app, setting that ad up, seeing the seed phrase, saving it somewhere, making sure it's backed up, funding that wallet, and then actually doing the thing that you want just took way too long. So that's one big problem, is there's this kind of context switch that you have to do in order to get the benefit of that single sign-on experience. The second big problem is that when you actually set up that wallet, there's a ton of problems with it. For instance, if your seed phrase is ever leaked, all of your assets will be gone, and that wallet will never be recoverable. And this actually happened to me the other day. I was in New York. I had my backpack. I was moving across the country. And so I actually had all of my cryptographic identity. I had my hardware wallets. I had my seed phrases. I had my password, master pass, like my passport, my driver's license. And someone stole my backpack.
Oh, my God.
It was horrible. And I had to, call the police. Luckily, they started spending money at McDonald's and at Apple, so it wasn't a sophisticated crypto actor because I would have been completely owned. So I moved everything off my hot wallets that I had, then I flew across the country. I got my other backpack, and I spent the weekend moving all of my assets out of my EOA wallets into a smart wallet. Because the really, really powerful thing with a smart wallet is that if you lose a single key, you can just rotate it. And your wallet is still yours. And that's just the security side. There's also all of these usability benefits about being able to spend different tokens for gas, enabling developers to build much more seamless experiences. And so this usability, security complexity has been the second big problem with this kind of single sign-on Connect Wallet experience. The thing that I'm really excited about with the Coinbase Smart Wallet, which they just launched 2 days ago, it's on testnet, it's developer preview, you can try it out, is it solves both of those problems. So you can click the button in any app, and instead of having to go get another app, it pops up a little screen, you passkey, and your wallet is instantly created. It's a fully self-custodial wallet stored in your passkey, so it's synced across all of your devices, and it just works. Now, if you go to any other app, you press Connect Wallet, it pops up another window, you can confirm a transaction. And that experience of being able to go from literally nothing to having a crypto wallet that can transact across any app in a single sign-on structure in less than 10 seconds is transformative. And it's going to be kind of the backbone of the on-chain summer experiences we're building this summer. So that's on the kind of usability of that first experience. The other big thing about this is because it's a smart wallet, which means you can build logic into the wallet, we can do everything with it. So you're going to be able to have multiple signers, so you can have two-factor authentication. You're going to be able to have recovery, so if you lose your signers, you can recover through a trusted third party like Coinbase or Social Recovery. You're going to be able to spend directly from your Coinbase balance. So you can link your existing Coinbase account, and in a single transaction, you can debit your Coinbase account and then mint an NFT on chain, or put Ether into a lending market, or borrow against that Ether, all in one transaction. And so I think that combination of removing this whole, you need another app or extension, and it just works, it takes less than 10 seconds, and then adding in all of the incredible usability that comes from having a programmable smart wallet is really a step function, a change in usability of wallets. So we're going to see that this was another turning point in the industry for what's possible.
Yeah, and even just to underscore that, and we got to wrap up here in a second. I've got one more question for you, but every once in a while I'll see on Twitter like, we need to get people on chain, but I'm not advising my mom for the most part to set up a wallet. Like, that feels way too risky, right? So that's why these small but extremely important UX upgrades, these are the types of things that are actually going to get people on chain. And Jesse, maybe just to wind down here, when we talk about this mission of getting people on chain, why does that matter? Like, bring us back to the 10,000 foot. Like, why is it such an important mission for Coinbase, really? But it's kind of what we're all doing here. Why do we care about actually moving people on chain?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about Coinbase's mission long term, it's been to increase economic freedom globally. And I think the insight that we had with Base was that in order to increase economic freedom globally, we actually needed to go and build a global economy. And that's what Base is. When we say what is our mission, it is to build a global on-chain economy that increases creativity, freedom, and innovation. And the easiest way to think about it is you can kind of look at existing economies as analogies. You can look at the Apple App Store economy. Yeah. Right? You have a developer platform, people can build with iOS. You have this whole App Store ecosystem. You have a capital market where people are spending money. But there's a bunch of problems with it. For instance, if you build on iOS on the developer platform, that doesn't work everywhere. It just works for iOS apps. If you want to use iOS apps and you're an Android user, sorry. And then if you're a developer and you're building in this economy using these capital markets, you're going to pay a 30% fee on every single transaction that's happening. Another analogy is the United States. You have a developer platform. It's the governance of the United States. It's our economy. You have an app ecosystem. It's all the businesses that we all use every day. And then you have a capital market, which is the United States economy. But there's also problems there. If you're not a United States citizen, you're going to have a shitty time interacting with the United States economy. You won't be able to get credit. You won't actually be able to use these tools. The capital markets, there's challenges. For instance, they don't understand crypto, which is the most valuable innovation that I think has happened in the last 20 years. And so when we talk about building a global on-chain economy, really what we're saying is we can reimagine these economies, and we can build something where the developer platform is open and accessible to anyone. And if you decide, hey, I want to move out of this economy, you don't have to rebuild everything. You can just move. The app ecosystem is available and accessible to anyone. If you have an internet connection, you can use an app on Base. And then finally, the capital markets, those are also available and accessible to everyone. And we can use these on-chain smart contract governance systems to create rules that can be public, they can be transparent, and they can be accessible to everyone. And so I think for us, the reason we are bringing people on-chain is so that we can bring them into a global economy and make it so that they are on a level playing field, and if they have an internet connection, they can get the same access as everyone else. And when we do that, we think that's going to increase economic freedom, give people better lives, help them build better businesses, make them have happier families, and really make the world a better place.
Awesome. That feels like a really great place to end it. Thanks very much, Jesse. Give him a big round of applause,
Thanks
guys.
for being here.